welcome to Lady Boss Mamas. I'm Molly Ades, and I own a clothing line for pregnant and breastfeeding moms, and my website is soulma.com. I have two boys, Bennett and Andrew, who are 7 and 8.
Hi everyone, my name is Kyttanen. I am a lifestyle blogger and I'm also a sensory branding and marketing consultant. And I live in West Hollywood with my husband and my little boy Aiden, who's 18 months, and our cat Zena. And we are so excited today to have Mama Bear Dares with us. So ladies, could you please introduce yourselves?
Yes, I'll go first. I'm Leslie Klipsch. I am the mom to 3 kids. My kids are slightly older. I have a 13-year-old named Oliver, an 11-year-old named Eli, who is currently in the next room. He was up with the flu or something last night. And then my 8-year-old is named Sintayu. And I love that you introduced your animals too. And so I'm going to go ahead and introduce my 2 cats, Zuri and Jingles. They're both tiny and adorable.
She's been waiting for that opening in any interview she's done for years, actually. So, I'm Tesi Klipsch, the sister-in-law to Leslie, actually. I have 5 kids. Tristan is 15. Tomas will be 14 tomorrow. Tiriku will be 13 next week. And then Dela and Binam are 11. I have 2 cats and 2 dogs, but there's just not enough time. There's not enough time to include out all of the living things in the house.
So wait, are they twins? Your 11-year-olds are twins?
They are not. One is adopted and one's biological. So they're a month apart, but we call them the twins, which confuses people when they show up, and one's from Ethiopia and we are Caucasian. So
How long have you guys been doing the Mama Bear Dares podcast?
Well, Molly, we are so excited to tell you that it's been almost exactly 2 years. We just realized that the other day. We went back and found that we had dropped our very first episode 2 years ago.
You interviewed me for your podcast last year, which was wonderful, but you have a real purpose and mission. So can you talk about that a little bit?
Well, Leslie actually wrote a book called Mama Bear's Manifesto, and that's kind of one of the launching pads, I guess, for the title of our podcast. And her book was really centered on this premise that as moms, we are capable of doing way more than we think we're capable of. And, you know, there's that mama bear instinct that everybody talks about, right? There are shirts, there's lots of swag with mama bear. And so we wanted to harness that in listeners and really find mama bears like you, Molly, who are doing really cool things with their lives in addition to being mom. And then also, so that's one time, one Monday, and then the next Monday, the 2 of us just meet and we go over something that's going on in the world that we think moms should ignite that mama bear and then do something. So it's kind of got a social justice bent on some of the Mondays, but really just reminding and encouraging and inspiring people to do more, because we have this insane amount of energy. I mean, listen to what you 2 are both doing, including this YouTube, right? And so it's like, we're capable of so much. Let's not limit what we're capable of. But sometimes we need a nap, you know, sometimes we need to hibernate.
So our theme for this month is fear. We want to get into and dive into what fears we have and how have we been able to overcome them. So maybe we could just start when you guys first decided to launch this together. What was your biggest fears individually, you know?
I definitely would say, you know, of course, there are a lot of things that I'm afraid of, a lot of things, from the really big things to the tiny things. But with this particular journey, it's been interesting. Tesi and I have been sisters-in-law for 15 years, and we're both great encouragers of one another. We're kind of each other's biggest fans, like so many sisters and friends can be. And so launching this, I think we both had individual fears, of course, you're putting yourself out there, you're literally giving your voice to sometimes really controversial or heated sort of topics. You're thinking about, the questions you're going to ask people. Are people going to respond well? Are you going to cross any lines that you shouldn't? Things like that. But when you do that with someone who you know is just 100% behind you 100% of the time, like even when you don't deserve it, like it's so much easier. Like the fear, I think that we all have inside, when you get a champion like that behind you, man, it's just amazing how that voice of fear can be silenced so quickly and so often.
That was really good. One of my fears was actually losing that. We've been warned, because we were so close, and we've taken on projects together, but nothing like this, a business. I mean, it really is a business. We have multiple facets to not just the podcast, but a blog and a book coming and all of this stuff. So it was a matter of, oh my God, I don't want to lose one of my favorite relationships in all the world. That was one fear. And then the other fear for me was, so many of my close friends are these mama bears that I look to, that I'm inspired by, and that really just shake the earth with their justice and their love. And I was so worried that we would put it out into the world and it would only be my friends who thought that was what we needed, that there would be only 50 people that were like, yeah, that's what the world needs. But it turns out the world all is feeling this need for more mama bear action. So that's been a bonus. But I was afraid that I would be disappointed and my natural optimism would be snuffed out.
When more people started listening to you and responding who weren't just your circle of friends, what did that do for your confidence?
Well, I think that made us more excited, just realizing that this was something that people really wanted to hear and kind of expected. Like you were saying earlier, having just that deadline of like needing to produce this, because it's really not just for us anymore. It's sort of like our little packaged gift to the other people out there who might be, looking for sort of that community or that encouragement. And so I think that in a lot of ways, it confirmed the things that we were doing and propelled us to make sure that we're getting it done. We were crossing off the list, and producing something hopefully really good every Monday.
When you guys were, in the synergy and you had things going well, of course, it's like then something happens totally unexpected that forces you to sort of reflect and think, okay, we weren't expecting that, but I guess we have to change gears a little bit. What was that moment for you guys that you can remember?
I think when our last president was elected.
Yeah, you're right. I like to push that down and ignore that, but you're right. That was it. That was a moment. I really believe that before Trump was elected, we, as in Tesi and Leslie and the podcast and the world, were a little bit asleep to all of the things that we could be doing to make our families, our communities, and our country and the world a little bit better. I think we were all just a little bit lulled, which happens. This is a natural cycle of humanity, right? But it was shaken. Everything was shaken. And so we sat down and we said, we have to choose now whether we just hadn't really got into politics. We hadn't really established who we were and what we believed in. A lot of it was like, yeah, we believe in fair trade. We believe in eating local. Those kind of things that everyone from every side of the political aisle and sphere could believe in and could get behind. But we had to really draw a line in the sand and be like, we have to call things out when they're not okay. When we feel like this is an issue that affects our children and affects moms and women, we need to be okay with drawing a line in the sand and then acknowledging maybe that some of our listeners no longer support us. And in doing so, honestly, it's been really great. We found more people who have been refreshed by us drawing a line in the sand and just being open about who we are and what we believe in. I think sometimes when we water down and we play both sides kind of on various issues, people don't know who you are and they don't know what you believe in and where you're going to land on something. But now they know pretty much, they know exactly who we are. They know for the most part where we're going to land on an issue. And that's gotten a lot of people to come behind us and say us too.
Can you think of an example of how someone like a business owner or a mom or the two of you have taken something that is a place of fear and switched it to a place of love?
honestly, almost every time we interview a woman on the podcast, we hear glimpses of how they have survived, how they took whatever it was that was scaring them and experienced this shift when they decided to acknowledge it, face it, talk to their best friends about it, and then move forward with the support of that community around them and that the important people in their life. And so I think one thing that Tesi and I are actually really, really lucky, and you guys too, just recognizing that and then being affirmed in that idea that like love does conquer fear by hearing people's stories and by seeing how, yes, in action, it does. Like I've seen it happen. I saw it happen to her, and she told me about it, and I believe it.
I saw that you did 155 podcasts, and I was like,
Yay!
And I was thinking to myself, because we've only talked to 15, you're 17 now. You're 17, right? But we've already, Molly and I have created this massive list of things we've learned from these amazing women. But if we have to boil it down to one thing, one theme, so what would that be in relation to fear for the 155 podcasts you've done? What would it break down to?
I mean, that is such a great question. For me, I feel like what all of our guests have proven, as well as what we've learned in researching our what we call minis, the two of us, is that fear exhausts. Okay, so you'll get exhausted by fear, and at some point you are totally drained, but love propels. Yeah. So you can be consumed with fear, and we often are in moments, but if you think about that love, so I am afraid every day of losing one of my kids. I mean, that's just a fear. I think we all have this set point as moms that that's a fear of ours, but love propels me to get up and do life with them anyway, to not be stalled by that. And I think our guests on the podcast do that too. They might have been afraid of starting a business, and for a time that exhausted them and did not propel them to action. But then the love of this idea, or the love of having time to themselves and doing something that they're passionate about, propels them to action. And we have found that throughout the history of the 155 episodes in 2 years. We just, in so many ways, we'll get scared that we just did one on gun culture, and we woke up and we're like, oh my God, we have a hangover from everything we talked about. And we were scared to do it, but the love of our babies and the babies that could be lost to guns was enough to propel us to put it out and to say, let's just hope for the best. So I would say overall, it's just that fear exhausts and love propels.
I'm just gonna end on one question. So if love propels and fear exhausts, how would you describe the difference of smell between the two? So if you created a fragrance for love and fear, what would they smell like? And maybe you each want to take one category.
It would be really edgy and kind of like, it would be edgy and a little sneaky. I know those aren't like scents, but like that would be the aura of that. It would just be like kind of there'd be a bite to it.
And love for me would be the outside. Don't you feel like love is whatever you feel? So when I'm outdoors, when I'm camping, it smells like a campfire. It smells like my really stinky kids.
Thank you so much, ladies, for being with us today. And really I could talk to you forever, because I feel like we have a shared mission. So let's not make this the last time that we connect.
Yeah. That sounds great. I know, I love what you guys are doing, and I'm so honored that you asked us to share the morning here.
It's so nice to talk to you both again.
Yeah. Yes. Please encourage, your tribe to check us out, subscribe to our channel. We do this every week, and we will share the love too. Thank you so much.
Thank you guys so much for having us.